Good evening, everyone. First of all, very warm welcome to Toastmaster. I know your end term is coming, so maybe you are preparing for your exam. So anyway, it's a nice gathering of all of you guys. Now, before starting for a session, I want to share a small story. Like I was thinking how I will start the session. Or you guys gather here because maybe some of you have stage fright, maybe some of you don't have. So you know about Charlie Chaplin, right? He was a great stage persona. He was one of the visionary of Hollywood movies. So in his first stage performance, when he was 18 years old, he was given a lead role. And in the stage, he was dumbstruck. He lost his voice, and he thought like he will go through the same hospitalization or same phase as during that time his mother was going on, because his mother she lost her voice and she was hospitalized at that time. So he totally lost his voice and he was dumbstruck, and he did not have any control on himself. So then her sister, his sister, who was also the part of that same play, she was Sydney. She just recommended the director that please give him a small role, which is basically a drunk person with a blend of comedian. So he perfectly did that role over the 3 to 4 weeks, and that was basically a huge hit. After that, he self-developed himself through self-education, consulting with other people, and over the period, he developed him up to such extent that he became one of the huge persona in movie world. So what I am trying to convey is that maybe many of you can have also the stage fright, but it only depends upon you, how you are doing introspection of yourself, how you can overcome your fright. So Toastmaster is a platform, but it is up to you how you are going to use this platform to overcome your stage fright. So with this, I will start with the session. So these are some Toastmaster leadership roles for today. I'm Shivani, TM of the day. Now TTM Table Toastmaster Akshay. Next speech evaluator, prepared speeches, Vishal. Manisha is evaluator for impromptu speeches. Then Rahul is general evaluator. And then Anupama, she is our counter, but I think she is not here. So if anyone want to take a role, then it will be very much welcome. Okay, what's your name? Akriti. Next, grammarian Anirban. I think he is also not present here. So if anyone of you, I will give you the next role. Your name, please? That's fine. Next, timer Pratap. Yeah, he's also not present. So you can. Your name, please? Very good. Anyway, thank you. Thank you, girls. It was very good. And Kartika, you are the grammarian, so I'll request you to give you the word of the day.
Explain the rules to all of them. You can explain our counter, grammarian, and timer to me.
Akriti, you know what about anything about our counter? Basically, you have to connect, count all those hours, whatever they are when they are giving impromptu or prepared speeches. Okay, about grammarian, you have to check about the grammar whether they are doing any mistake or like that. And the timer, you have to maintain about the time booked for prepared and impromptu speech. Okay.
मैं बोल दूँ grammarian has to be anonymous. Grammarian has to give anonymous feedback. Excuse me? Grammarian का feedback तो होता है. It cannot be named.
Okay. Yeah, maybe I'm doing this for the first time, so I'm forgetting something. So Akriti, you're Kartika. So you are grammarian, so you have to also give the feedback, which should be anonymous. You should not tell anyone's name. Okay.
The grammarian.
Timer and our counter should be like for every person individually, but grammarian has to give an overall grammar, like whatever suggestions or improvements you have.
Timer, you would have to for prepared speeches after 4 minutes you can give one warning.
There is
Probably
one
you can just tap or raise your hands, and 4 minutes 30 seconds, and at 5 minutes 3 warnings. And for impromptu speeches we have a 30-second thinking time, so you can give one tap after the 30 seconds and one during the speech after 1 minute 30 seconds and after 2 minutes. Just have to. And also you will have to record how much time each person took.
Now I'll start with the prepared speeches. I'll request Divakar. Yeah.
Miss Toastmaster. Good evening, friends. I am here to talk about myself in the first speech of Toastmaster 2014 for us, right? So my name is Divakar Kumar, and I am from Madhubani, Bihar, and I completed my class 10 from Sainik School, Golpara, Assam, and then I went to Kota for class 12. Then I went to DSRT Gandhinagar for my BTech. From there I did my BTech in computer science. Then I moved to Bangalore to work for a software company, Accenture. There I worked for about 35 months, and then I came here. So one thing about me is that I am from Madhubani, Bihar. That is, and one thing which is famous about Madhubani is the Madhubani painting. So it is basically famous because it is very old. It dates back to the time of Ramayana, when Mata Sita was to be married to Lord Ram. Then Raja Janak used this Madhubani painting to paint the walls, buildings of Janakpur, which is the birthplace of Mata Sita. So this place is currently in Nepal. So that is my place, Mithilanchal. So that is one thing which is very famous about Madhubani. The next thing which I want to talk about is that I have been to 6 places, 6 states in 25 years, and each place for about 3 years at least. From Bihar and then to northeast to Kota, then Gandhinagar, Gujarat, then Karnataka, then here. And then I like to travel a lot. I have traveled to places like Kurg, and then Goa, Mumbai, Jaipur, Pondicherry, Delhi, Kolkata. So basically for traveling only, but not for some other work. One more thing which I want to say is that my hobbies are like to play table tennis, cricket, and volleyball. I recently won the table tennis tournament in Chunauti 2014. So yes, I like to play a lot. And other thing is that when I was in Sainik School Golpara, that means in class 6 up to class 10, I used to run a lot. Means from class 6 to class 10, I was running like for one time 10 kilometers in about 30-40 minutes up to class 10. So that is one thing. And what I want to do with my life, I don't know it. So let's see what life does to me and where does it take me. So that's it. Thank you.
It was a nice speech, Divakar, and yeah, you are a sports person, and I also like sports. And I used to watch World Cup every day. So next moving to Santosh.
Hello, good evening. Everyone is here. I think the same question in everyone's mind is there. Who am I? What do I do? What I'm going to achieve? What I'm going to do with my life? So in simple words, how I define myself is what I say I do what I say. Okay, this is what I am, and let's start how I started my journey. I was born and brought up in a place which was like Naxal prone area, a remote place somewhere 60-70 kilometers away from the Ranchi in Jharkhand. So there life was more about fulfilling your basic needs. Education was secondary need. Whether you will get education or not, it's all depends on your parents, their effort. So I'll say I was very lucky to have such parents who gave their 100%, more than 100% to bring me up, give me a proper education. Today I am here is, I think I'll say 10% of my effort, 90% my parents' effort. So they provided me education. Where I was living, there was not such schools to continue with it, so they sent me to boarding school. There my life changed. In a boarding school, till we used to be in the home, we used to think, I'm the king of my life. Then you suddenly go to a place where everyone is same. Everyone came from their home, they were like king of their own life. You have to adjust with them, you have to live with them. First few months, obviously terrible. You won't able to adjust with anyone. You won't like. But it started with getting thrashed from superintendent and ended with thrashing back to the superintendent. So this how 5 years of my life saved up there. When you go in a boarding school, it's more about friends. There, it's not like they are a separate entity. They are part of your life. They are your family. You have to live with them. You have to share your happiness, sorrow, everything. When everyone else used to celebrate their festival in their home, you used to celebrate with them. You used to be with them. You have to celebrate, you have to share everything. So still, my best memory of my life was Holi of 2006, which still I'm not able to get that much joy till now. I made so many friends. Somewhere down the line, they are still with me. That was the best thing which I got from boarding school, that they are still with me in any of the situation. If you are down, if you are happy, they are the first person whom you would like to contact, whom you would like to share what's happening in your life, what happened with you. First thing, okay, I got call from Indore. First person whom I called was there, my best friend from my boarding school. So in a sense, this is what you get there, but what is the con? Every boarding school has some con. You lose your social life. In terms of like when you used to home, you will have some public gathering, family outing. There is nothing. It's all about your friends. You stay with them. There is no. You don't know. Okay, this is Sarma auntie, this is this auntie, or this is this uncle. No, nothing. So I moved up. Then I finished my boarding school at 10th. I finished my 12th from DPS Ranchi, then moved to Surathkal. That was a different experience altogether. Moving from a place where you know all, everything, you know every person. At least you have this common language to speak. To a place where you don't know their language, what they are speaking about, and you have to again get along with some new people. But still, it's college. After 4 years, you miss them. So let's talk about what do I value. So, along with my journey, people which I value most. My parents, my father is a person whom, I don't know, I'm still trying to get something, the way he dedicates himself towards his work. He's working in a hospital, so there your 1 minute is so important that you could save a life or someone will lose his life or her life. So there we will go work in a firm, we'll say that we are working for 17 or 18 hours, I'm very tired, but there you are working to save someone's life. It's not like some 10 hours, 12 hours, it's like 24/7, you have to be available. And being in a place which is remote, we used to be in constant fear, but still he used to go out at night, 12, 1, you don't know, to save someone's life in woods or any place, whether you don't know the person is a Naxal or not, you don't know anything about him, but you have to go there and save someone's life. So I don't know how much I got it from him. I'm still trying to get something. And from my mother, calmness, patience, being in such. Okay, so okay, so I still trying to imbibe from her the patience. I'm short-tempered. I'm still trying to control it. So that's one thing I would like to get it from her. So yes, I would, obviously during all those hostel lives we used to have fun. You miss your fun, everything. But okay, let's say I would then close up with a line: keep busy living or keep busy dying. Thank you.
Yeah, Santosh. I was also recollecting my hostel days. I also spent 4 years during engineering and 2 years civil. So yeah, those were the best days in my life. So extra request. And one small announcement. This is the word of the day. So anyone who is using this, if you use this word in your speech, then you will get one extra point for it. So.
I think you guys have heard me speak a lot of times for the past 2 open sessions. So I didn't want to start off the prepared speeches, and that's why I requested our Toastmaster for the day, Shibani, to call up the other people, because I wanted one of you guys to start off this year's Toastmaster sessions. So in a couple of days, you guys are approaching summer placements. I know the weather is very rainy out there, but summer placements where it brings a different kind of flavor. So we are hoping that we will share our placement experience, how our summer placement experience went, and hopefully it will help you in some small way to cope up with the pressure or whatever. Going forward, before I go ahead with my tips that I have for you guys, let me just tell you that I worked for almost 4 years in IBM, so obviously my opportunities were much more limited when it came to summer placements, because although I was interested in marketing, I didn't really get any marketing shortlists. So most of them were either IT or startups. I was comfortable with a startup because this was a new work environment for me. I had worked in IBM and I'd spent quite some time filling up all the forms and all the procedures. So I was like fed up with all of that. So I wanted to try out something new. That is my background. So I'm hoping that that context will help you understand things better. So the first tip I have for you is there's a quote that says that you have to remain calm like a duck and keep kicking like hell underneath. So your summer placement sessions are, and all the interview sessions GD round, they're going to be very, very hectic. So you need to understand that you have to find your small place where you can stay calm, go back to your room, find something to do so that you can stay calm throughout the ordeal. It's going to be very hectic. And also at the same time you need to look around and you have other 500 odd people on the same platform as you. They're all competing for the same jobs as you guys. So although you need to remain calm and composed throughout the entire experience, you also need to ensure that you work very hard. You need to, I understand all of you have exams, it's something that all of you are going through, and all of you also are vying for the same jobs. So you need to ensure that you put in the same amount of hard work. Not same, I'd say a little more than the person sitting next to you if you want to grab that opportunity. So stay calm, but ensure that you put in a lot of hard work. The next thing that I have for you is, they say that make hay while the sun shines. I know it's raining in Indore, but still, all of you will definitely get some shortlists. You will definitely get into some GDs. You will definitely sit in front of some interview panels. So use that opportunity. It is like no one is that opportunity you're never going to get back. It doesn't matter whether you get that job or you don't get that job. How can you ensure that you make hay while the sun shines? So while you're sitting in a GD, you make sure that you make complete use of that opportunity given to you. Obviously, some people didn't make it. So just think about, you are sitting there in front of the interview panel or in a GD. So you need to make sure that you understand the weightage of that moment. It is important. It is so you need to make complete use of whatever opportunities come towards your way. The next thing that I have for you is, there's a song by Bryan Adams. It says, it's a new day, it's a new start. The placement sessions are going to be hectic. I know I'm repeating this a lot of times, but I know people who are like, you have to get up at 6 a.m. in the morning, go to the old auditorium, and then all the shortlists come out, and I think your shortlists come out somewhere in the midnight, something like that. So there's hardly any time for preparation, there's hardly any time for sleep, and you'll have like, I don't know, I knew people who had like 4 shortlists a day. They had to run from one room to another, and for GDs, multiple GDs, you need to set that frame of mind. You need to keep, relaxing and rewinding and coming back to that same state of mind. Obviously, you cannot be in the same fresh mood that you are at morning 9 a.m. And the same thing will not happen at night 8 p.m. You might have to sit and attend an interview at 8 p.m. And again, there are people who, this just happens that, you've sat through 5 GDs in a day, and the next morning again the same things happen. 12 a.m. the shortlists come out, and again you see that your names have shown up in a couple of more shortlists. Again, you have to, it's how important, what I'm trying to tell you is that it is very important that you ensure that you know how to rewind and go back and make a fresh start. Every morning you need to wake up, forget about what has happened. I mean, obviously, if you learn something, then keep that. But if there's some bad experience you feel that, then you need to keep it aside, leave your baggage, make a fresh start. This is very important because you'll have like back-to-back interview sessions and placements, and again pre-placement talk. The placement committee never spares you of that. I had to sit through 3 placement talks during the interviews one day. So it's very hectic, it's going to be very hectic. So you need to ensure that you can make a fresh start every day. This is my 3rd tip for you. And my fourth tip for you is be like a sponge. So every opportunity that you get, every GD that you sit through, every person that you are interacting with, there's always something that you can learn which will be helpful for you in your interviews or even in your GDs or anything. It can be anything, even in your class, some question that pops up during the class discussions, or some questions that pop up during your interviews. You may not make it through, you may make it through, but still there's always something to learn from each and every encounter you have with any other person. So you need to ensure that you can learn as much as possible, absorb, be like a sponge, just grab everything that you can lay your hands on. Just absorb every piece of knowledge, every piece of advice, and then you can sit and contemplate about what you want to do, process your own information, and you can think about how you want to use it in what opportunity. So be a sponge. This is one advice that I got from one of my managers when I was quitting my job. He asked me to be like a sponge. Every experience you need to make sure that you get the maximum out of it. Other than this, just do all of your regular things like reading up the newspapers. If you're not able to do that, read up the magazines, because that's like a summary of 1 week's newspapers. And also you can keep talking to any of us or any of the other seniors from my batch. I'm sure they will be able to help you in any way possible, because this is definitely a trying time for all of you, and we've all been through it. So that's my advice. Thank you.
Equivalent.
Okay. So,
Essential?
sorry. Yeah, sorry.
I think it's essential.
It means equal to.
Equivalent. Yeah, it was both the meanings. I took this.
Sorry. Thank you, Anusha. Anusha gave you guys some few quick and excellent tips. Try to implement all those things during your summers and try to get best out of all those things. And yeah, all the best for your summers. Now next moving to Shikha.
Hello everyone, I'm Shikha. It is said that only the people who have committed some really good deeds in their past births are born in the places where the pious Kumbh Melas take place. I have been one of the lucky few who was born in the year of Kumbh in the pious city of Ujjain. After that, my dad, who works in ONGC, which has a transferable job, at that time he was placed in a place called Bharuch, which is in Gujarat. And me being the only kid in the society was very pampered. You could say that I was tantamount to a devil's angel. I was a very obedient kid. Even as a 2-year-old, I used to listen to everything my mother used to say. Once she spotted me picking up something which had fallen on the floor and eating it, so she told me not to pick up anything that falls on the floor. What was that? Next day onwards, in my school hours, I dropped my pencil box. I didn't pick it up. The day after, I dropped my pencil. I didn't pick it up. And the next day, I dropped my school bag and I didn't bother to pick it up. My poor parents had to go every weekend and collect the things which I was not allowed to pick up. 3 years later, my father was transferred to Assam and we lived in a place called Nazara, which was a place in the lap of nature. At that time, in 1996 approximately, there was nothing there. There was no development and it was a very small town, if I could say that. There I learned the essential skills of tree climbing, and I was open to various natural herbs, and yeah, I learned not to eat all the plants because they could be poisonous. I was poisoned by something, some ivy or something, and that has taught me not to eat anything after just picking up from the trees. 3 years later, my dad was again transferred to Mumbai, and we had our abode in a place called Pandel, which was then famous due to the farmhouses of various actors and actresses, which now sadly has become a mini city of its own. There I was lucky enough to learn Bharatanatyam and drawing classes, as a result of which I did clear my NIFT after my 12th. But then, as luck would have it, at that time I chose engineering, having cleared IIT with a decent rank. My bags were packed, my tickets were booked, my hostels were booked for IIT-BHU, and as stroke of luck would have it, last minute decisions, I decided to not go to BHU and join NIT Nagpur. I never regretted my decision. I took the decision because I realized that I was more interested into electronics and communication, which was being offered in the other college, as compared to metallurgy, because I thought I'll have to study a lot. But then, as luck would have it, I had to study a lot for electronics also. We had eons of labs and millions of journal pages and zillions of graphs, which, by the way, I don't remember any of them now, so it doesn't really matter. My first day of college was an event in its own. Our hostel was approximately 1.5 kilometers from the electrical department where my first lecture was to take place. Being 5 minutes late, I just ran through and mistaking the room number EN01, which was supposed to be my classroom, I just entered the first classroom that was. There were people sitting everywhere and only the first bench was empty. So I decided to go and sit. 5 minutes later, a professor comes and starts teaching. And I suddenly realized, this is not my class. I turned and asked the girl sitting behind me, excuse me, is this EN01? And then she shouts out to the professor, sir, a first year is here. And to my horror, I realized it was a second year classroom. Apart from that, the next 4 years have also been quite eventful, but then there's not enough time. In my final year, I took CAT, and I managed to get a decent rank. And after the decent percentile, I came here to IIM Indore, which is a world in itself, and the journey continues, and I hope to have even more eventful days in a planet which never sleeps. Thank you.
Just say the next person. It's open. No, it's in that will be open. It works anyways.
Shika, that was a very excellent speech. Yeah, I also faced the same type of situation. In my first day in my graduation engineering time, we went 4 girls. We had 4 girls and we went to mechanical engineering, their classes, and we saw there are no girls. And I thought, what happened in electrics also there is no girls. So we missed the first 2 classes. After the break, we went to our proper electronics classes. So yeah. Next, I will call upon Shubhangi on stage.
Hello, I'm Shubhangi, and I'll talk about myself. My story starts on this bright, sunny Sunday morning, the August of 1991. I was born then. But don't expect any twist or any drama in the tale. I was born in a perfectly normal family. I am no Steve Jobs or Buddha. But yes, it was an awesome family. My dad happens to be a Tamilian and my mom is a Gujarati. And as a kid, I thought all families were the same. So once I had this conversation with a friend of mine, and we were all kids staying in Ahmedabad, and I realized that her parents were both Gujaratis. And it was a realization, it was a funny realization. And I felt different, and different for school, because as a kid you always flaunt that broken tooth. the pain you underwent at the dentist's place, and the fractured hand with colorful Kedwell Soul notes. So yeah, I was happy. It was different. I was cool. But then I come across this girl who happened to be part Maharashtrian, part Gujarati, and I wasn't different anymore. I wasn't cool, and I thought of telling people now that I was part alien and part human, but thankfully I didn't do that. Anyway, on a serious note, what I really enjoy about my family was that we celebrated a greater number of festivals, being Gujarati and Tamil. And my personal favorite was Pongal. Like Pongal and Uttarayan fall together, and it's a 2-in-1 bonanza. So, and the worst part was my mom sent me for Bharatnatyam and Garba classes. Thankfully, one day I had the courage to tell her. I sat down with her and said, no, dance is totally not my thing. Please, let's stop this. But then I had to go to skating classes, which is an entirely different story. So, yeah, this is about my family. Then, yeah, class 9. I was nerd personified. I remember going, like we had the school van, and I remember telling the class 10 kids, I was in class 9 then, and I remember telling the class 10 kids that you got your neutrons theory all wrong, and also you were not clear about the chronology of how the atomic and subatomic particles were discovered. You totally wrong. And yeah, I had a brief love affair with economics in class 10, but I let it pass. And then I went down the beaten path, science and engineering. And choosing the branch of engineering wasn't too difficult either. You first decide that you're a journalist, and then you decide that you're not too fond of codes and circuit diagrams. So you have your choice clear in front of you. You go in for mechanical engineering. Then comes the NIT Trichy chapter in my life. For all non-engineers, that's where engineers go if they don't make it to the IITs. I was excited. It was a new state. Now I was in Tamil Nadu from Gujarat. And I was excited about going to the campus. On the way, I came across this funeral procession. And they were celebrating. There was loud, happy music, and there were firecrackers as well. I was appalled, like, what's going on? Apparently, I figured out later, and people told me that if a person has a long, eventful, healthy life and a quick, painless death, they celebrate the funeral in this fashion. So, fine, so be it. Each his own. Then, another thing that I found really funny about Tamil Nadu was how they had subsidized liquor shops. State subsidized liquor. Really funny. And then was, yes, college. Great friends, real fun. One important transformation that I saw in me in college was that I was essentially a book reader. I loved books, I read a lot. But now I was a movie watcher. I was a huge movie buff. I watched a lot of movies with friends, and you have an endless supply of movies in all NITs. The NIT community is full of movies. So what I liked about watching movies, I watched a lot of them, was that when you're watching a movie, you're totally in a different world. Movie, television series, all the same. So I remember watching The Sopranos, and I felt like the Italian mafia, the 1990s, with childhood problems, going to the psychiatrist and whatever he went through. And I loved Mad Men, John Hamm with his advertising agency, and a lot of movies, but I don't think I have the time to go through them. It was all fun and frolic, the first 3 years of college, but come the 4th year and you don't know what to do, because there are people who are going for engineering jobs and or an MBA. That's the option generally put out, and you get a minor panic attack because you don't know what to do. It's all right. You figure out stuff. You go for interviews and land a job, and then what happened to me was I ended up at L&T. heavy engineering. I worked for a year. I was really apprehensive about going to work because I hadn't worked earlier, so obviously. But then I realized that being an engineer at work, and they put me in design, so that's another thing. And I wasn't interested in engineering at that point. But I realized the funny thing about engineering is that you really don't need to be good with all the equations, all the ASME codes. There's a huge pile of codes, and you are put. You are expected to read in office, but the essential part of all engineers is that they are just problem solvers. Any problem you put in front of them and they solve it. At least I do. I mean, most of us do. So I made my peace with my engineering degree, and I don't regret going in for engineering. I acted on my love for economics and finance earlier in class 10 and gave some exams and ended up here. That's about it. That's the story till now. Let's see how it goes.
Thank you, Shubhangi. I must say it was a very interesting journey, and yeah, I also faced the same cultural shock in Tamil Nadu. Now, next moving to impromptu section, I will call upon Akshay to take over the stage.
Good evening, everybody. I'm the table topic master for the day. The topics has been designed in a way so that we can help you out in some way for the placement. So when you give impromptu speech, just make sure, try to think something which like it's kind of related to something which can be asked in an interview or a GD. So try to think in that direction. So not to waste any time, let's start. The first speaker. Akshay. Sorry. Topic. Okay, so his topic for the day is Pepsi or Coke, they taste the same. It's a question.
Okay. You have 30 seconds to think and 2 minutes to speak.
For an impromptu speech, you have 30 seconds to think, and then for 2 minutes speech. So you can think for 30 seconds.
Hello, I am Akshay Agrawal, and as the speech is Pepsi and Coke, they both are the same. So, first of all, I am so not a follower of these brands, so for me they are tremendously the same. And secondly, if anyone of you have any differentiation in these, please let me know. After that, okay. Why I'm putting both of them in the same basket, in spite of the fact they are very much competitive, they have different advertisements, different views from different people. I think the thing for which they are used as a product is the same, whether in a match you are consuming it, or in a TV while a film you are watching, or anywhere. I think the purpose is the same. So I do not think it's different. They are the same. Secondly, yeah, the color, everything is same. I think I have taken the topic right.
Go ahead.
But again, it would be biased in my side if I'll say that they are exactly same. So I would like to talk about the other way around. Okay, so thinking about how they project themselves, recently Coke came up with a very nice advertisement. I am actually working on the advertisement sides also, like it's something sharing happiness. So that is something which makes you look at it, makes you adore it, or maybe at times you can go for it to have it. So it could be one of the perspective to have it. Later on, Pepsi or Coke, at the bottom line is they are the same, and it's your perspective more. Thank you.
Thank you, Akshay. It was a really different perspective for Pepsi and Coke. I thought the same, it's the same actually. Second speaker is Abhidev Das. Is he here? Okay. Third, Abhishek Kumar. Huh. Twitter is more compact than Facebook.
Should I announce the topic?
No, Twitter is more compact than Facebook.
Hello everybody. As the topic is Twitter is more compact than Facebook. Yeah, it means social media is on boom nowadays. All of us have Facebook accounts, some Twitter accounts. Some may have more than one accounts also. And what is the difference? Although I am most related to Facebook than Twitter. I do not follow much. And as the topic is Twitter more compact? I think it is, because we have a word limitation of 160 words. You can't go beyond 160 words. You have to make more tweets on it. So in Facebook you have no such limitation. You can type as many words. You can put notes. You can do everything. And also I think Twitter is more about elitism. All the celebrities and followers are there, but Facebook is more kind of a general kind of things. All of us are following and obviously if we do from the which has more users, which of these are doing better business, obviously Facebook is doing good, as the number of users is much more on Facebook than Twitter. And so my final opinion is, and obviously to differentiate between these two, we can put all the theories that we are learning in Kotler, and so I think Twitter is more compact than Facebook.
Thank you, Abhishek. That was a good speech actually. Our next speaker is Sonal. Should Swiss watchmakers worry over Apple's new watch?
Hello everyone, I'm Sonal, and this is a very recent topic that I've been hearing about and I've been reading in newspaper. Like Apple is coming up with this new watch, in which we can. The watch is it's a gadget kind of thing in which you can do the very many technical features that is included in that. It's not just like a normal watch which gives you the time, but it allows you to do many more things like the features which is included is like the shopping kind of thing you can do into that. More information you can gather from that watch. So it's like a complete technical gadget, not just a watch. So if Swiss watchmakers means they are trying to compete with this Apple's new watches, then they have to really come up with different product that definitely won't be a watch, and that would include many more technical features that it could compete with the Apple's new watch that are coming up. So what my point is like that if they want to compete in the same market, like if they want to compete really with the product that Apple has come up with, they would really try to come up with a new product that has the features that is included in that, or the better features that they can come up with, and that would target the same market but would have some competitive advantage over Apple's. Otherwise, if they have a different strategy to compete in the bottom, if they have a different strategy to focus on the market that they are currently focusing on, then probably they don't have to bother about what kind of product they are launching, Apple's, and probably continue with the same thing that they are right now moving on. So that's it. That's what my point is.
Thank you, Sonal. I don't think so. Apple Watch, let it be Swiss watch, is always better. So moving to the next topic is Vani Khanna.
Flipkart is just another Amazon. Flipkart is just another Amazon.
Topic is Flipkart is just another Amazon.
And Vani, the topic for me is Flipkart is just another Amazon. Okay, and now let's make this interesting. She has asked me to do things that helps us in our GD and all. So let me start this by taking the hypothesis that Flipkart is Amazon. Now stating this hypothesis, the things that confirm to this are, number one, that Flipkart was born by two Amazon employees, ex-Amazon employees, Binny Bansal and Sachin Bansal. So the idea behind opening a Flipkart was that since Amazon is doing great e-commerce business in US and other countries as well, so let's try and replicate something in India of that sort. So in this way they are similar, but when it comes to places like US and India, there are huge differences. Okay, there's a very interesting anecdote about Flipkart that when they tried